A very good afternoon to all our respected dignitaries, faculty members, and students. I, Dr. Parijat Bhattacharjee, Assistant Professor at Amity School of Languages, on behalf of Amity University, Haryana, would like to take the opportunity to welcome each one of you to our G20 lecture on India's Science-20 Trust during the G20 Presidency. We are extremely privileged to have amongst us our esteemed guest of the day, Professor Narinder K. Mehra, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Professor Uday Narayan Singh, and Dr. Sanjana Vij. We all, the people from Amity University, Haryana fraternity, welcome you all here. Shubham Karoti Kalyanam Arogyam Dhana Sampada. Shatru Buddhi Vinashaya Deep Jyoti Namastute. Deep Jyoti Parabrahma Deep Jyoti Janardhana. Deep Papam Deep Jyotir Namastute. Prayer is an invocation of the heart, a calling forth of divine energies to be manifested in one's life. Time spent in prayer refreshes, renews, and strengthens our body and soul, as is the practice at Amity University of offering prayers to Ma Saraswati on all the auspicious occasions. Let us begin this session with the lamp lighting ceremony. May I request the dignitaries to kindly light the lamp. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma, to felicitate our distinguished guest, Professor Narinder K. Mehra. Thank you, sir. May I now invite Professor Rajendra Prasad, Dean Faculty of Science, Engineering and Technology, Director, Amity Institute of Integrative Sciences and Health, Director, Amity Institute of Biotechnology, to give the opening remarks.
Good afternoon. I wish to share and express great excitement and gratitude for the distinguished science speaker, Professor N.K. Mehra, presence here to welcome in this event. Hearty welcome, sir. We are thrilled to have you here among us as a part of celebration of G20 presidency. Professor Mehra is an old friend of me personally, maybe 35 years. And in fact, I found out that we both joined different institutes almost same year. So he joined, can I tell the year? He joined 1977 AIMS as a pool officer at that point, and I joined in 76 JNU. So we started, but I think I'm older than you. He has been a great clinician scientist. I mean, you'll find very rare people in doctors, MDs, who are doing clinical research. So he's one of those exceptions, and rightly so, Bhatnagar Awardee and so many prestigious to his career. I'm sure he'll be introduced formally, but it's really, he started the whole new area of immunogenetics and histocompatibility in AIMS, for which he made an institute also. And he was leading there as a dean and so on and so forth. Whole transplantation surgery was his focus first, then only it could happen. So it was such an important area he was doing. We are very happy, sir, that you are here. And as a vice president of INSIDE currently, he is now spearheading this India Science-20 Trust celebrations, and under which they are doing, touching many, many important areas like of global challenge, like climate, weather, things like that. So he's going to, of course, highlight the efforts which INSA is doing on this Science-20 celebrations. Thank you very much, sir, and we're really delighted to have you here and looking forward to your inspirational talk and what is ahead of us in next 10, 12 months. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now welcome a reputed academician, Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma, who is currently the Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Gurugram. He has been the founder Vice Chancellor of Delhi Technological University. Professor Sharma is a former professor of IIT Delhi and a former president of Engineering Science Division of Indian Science Congress. Professor Sharma is currently the chairman of Ranking and Accreditation Committee of AIU and has been the president of the Association of Indian Universities. Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma is a man of vision, an institute builder, a breakthrough leader, and is known for his relentless pursuit of relevance-driven excellence and for promotion of world quality education. May I have the pleasure of inviting our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for a great afternoon today at Amity University, Haryana, as we have the great privilege and honor to extend a warm welcome to India's luminary scientist, Professor Mehra, at our university. Professor Mehra, as has been informed, is one of the top-ranked life scientists of our great nation, who has chaired, in fact, as the Dean of All India Medical Institute in an area so important. Each one of you want to live, I'm pretty sure, a healthy and happy life for 100 years. How could that be without you caring for yourself and looking after your immunity, looking after the science of immunology, and also ensuring that not only you live happy and healthy, you allow your fellow citizens here in India and global community also to live happy and healthy with a happy and healthy environment around, so that the God Almighty ultimately smiles and says, what a great privilege it was for me to create the humanity of which I am so proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly the tall order for which the science and technology community, not only here in India, but around the world, is today putting its I's and dots together to create that bright future, the promise for the global humanity that our forefathers have made several thousand years ago when they said, Jivem Sharda Satam, Chaksheshu Sharda Satam, Sravanenu Sharda Satam, which means not only you remain happy and healthy for 100 years, you should be able to see with clarity with your eyes the lotus feet of God Almighty and work with utmost devotion and commitment to the cause for creating and sustaining this beautiful world. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great privilege and honor it is for us to welcome Professor Mehra today, this afternoon, to talk about India's Science-20 thrust during the G20 presidency. This is a great year for India. We have made great promises for our people. We are standing, keeping our head high to lead the world on the pathways of peace, prosperity, harmony, happiness, and of course, good health for all. Not very far it is. In the next month, you will be celebrating. The whole world will be celebrating, in fact, the Yoga Day on 21st of June. And there you will find the message will go loud and clear from India that good health for all requires tremendous amount of self-regulation and commitment to lead a healthy and happy life for yourself. Yoga is not just doing a few exercises together. It's a complete therapy to keep your body fit, mind healthy, but also make your soul happy, so that you are a persona of a healthy body, healthy mind, and a happy soul. If your soul is happy, it will make you happy. You will remain cheerful and smiling. And if soul becomes unhappy, one day it will say, thank you so much, madam, I'm going to somewhere else. And it is this whole idea of healthy body, healthy mind, and happy soul that was at the center of attention for our scientists here in India, right from the Vedic civilization. They promised themselves that science has no meaning unless it is able to create and sustain this beautiful world in good health. Science has no meaning if it spoils the health of the environment and create bad quality air. Science has no meaning if your rivers of nectar could be turned into rivers of poison because of unabated, untreated discharge of polluted water, which we have become so much accustomed to. Our forefathers maintained the purity of air, purity of water, which they called Amrit, and the air they called Pranvayu, and they were honest to the core to ensure that not only they remain happy and healthy, but the environment also remains happy and healthy. Therefore, the charter today for S20, in my opinion, is much larger, much bigger compared to creating the world of prosperity, or for that region an economy which would, of course, India will attain the target of $50 trillion economy of the kind which we are promising for a nation like ours when we celebrate 100 years of independence of our country in 2047. In Amity University, Haryana here, under the visionary leadership of Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, our founder president, and our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Asim Chauhan, we are deeply committed to create that bright future on the strength of nurturing science and technology in the environment of arts and liberal arts, so that not only scientists and technologists talk big, but we also create a society which is humane by its nature, which has compassion at its heart, which has commitment to peace and harmony, and which nurtures, in fact, the goodness all around. And that is why the Charter for Science here does not stop merely at biological sciences or life sciences or material sciences, or for that region, the science of chemistry or science of mathematics. It goes far beyond to see what can science do to create that layers of governance, layers of businesses, where we trade and transact with empathy and atmita of the kind that is very much required to create this beautiful world in which we all want to live. We also are conscious in our university that science began, in fact, in the modern world also as the science of life. It did not begin as the science for industries or for that region, science for corporates. It began as science of life, and a lot of attention right in the beginning, even of the modern science, was to understand what can science do to create a happy and healthy life. And that is why, in fact, the science of life was the hallmark of beginning of understanding of physics, chemistry, mathematics, astrophysics, and a whole lot of mathematical sciences to understand how we can understand the science of life. The meaning and purpose of science was directly aligned and related to meaning and purpose of life. I am here for a purpose, and so you are. And it is that purpose that need to be supplemented and supported by the rise of science and technology. And the modern scientists were also very clear in their mind that science and science alone can assure the brightest future for the vast humanity, not just in one nation, but all nations of the world. And it is that kind of commitment to science of life with which the science began. Unfortunately, after the Second World War, we got drifted away. We started thinking that science and technology is for career. We started thinking that science and technology is to create great corporates or great industries of the kind. We became slaves of the industries and corporates. We even told along the idea that we should consume more and more and purchase more and more, without realizing that this world requires science to be utilized for the purpose of creating a happy and healthy society and a prosperity with not tears, but with cheers and smiles on the faces of the people. We wanted to, and it is this, I think, which brought us to face to the years of Great Depression, which you all have undergone. I need not overemphasize. During the years of COVID, a reminder was given to us, a wake-up call was given to us that we need to redefine the meaning and purpose of science and technology for creating the world in which we want to live, and we want to leave it for the new generations to come. We have a tall order in this respect. India has taken a firm resolve that in the next 10 years, we would like not only to clean all our rivers and water bodies, but also ensure that not a single drop of untreated wastewater is discharged into the water bodies. We have taken a firm resolve to also ensure that we figure in the happiest nations of the world, and we have also taken firm resolve to ensure the circular economy, which means nothing to be wasted to spoil the environment, become the hallmark of science and technology. And therefore, a whole lot of science and technology advancement and innovations today are to be targeted to creating and supporting those national missions of the kind which we have put before us in the forefront. And it is through G20 presidency, the Science-20, in my opinion, will take this message around the world to the 20 countries which are part of G20, and also beyond to all nations which are part of the United Nations, so that the science and technology of tomorrow changes and redefines itself to be science of people, science of life, science of environment, science of nature, and creates, in fact, that vital difference in the life of individuals around the world, so that science becomes a valid support means not only to treat the diseases, but to ensure that the diseases do not occur. Immunology, to which I'm sure Professor Mehra knows better than me, revolves around the concept of understanding yourself, understanding your own immune system, understanding your metabolism, and every day asking yourself what you should eat and what you should not eat. How should you conduct your lifestyle? How should you conduct your workplace? And how do you really want to ensure that your metabolism becomes so supportive that you are able to assure high agility for yourself? And it is this context, in my opinion, is to be reinvented once again, to be redefined. Maybe you will have to take recourse to the natural medicines much more as the time goes by. Maybe you will understand that food is perhaps the best source of ensuring good health for all. You will understand how to go about choosing, in fact, the food for yourself to remain happy and healthy. Whole lot of these questions are currently in front of us. We are looking towards Professor Mehra with great hope and with great expectations to redefine the meaning and purpose of science for S20 here in India during the G20 presidency, and create that vital difference that Indian scientists and technologists need to make to lead the world towards the level of prosperity unmatched so far, and to the level of happiness and good health for all, which we have perhaps keeping as a dream for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, with these opening remarks from myself, I extend a very warm welcome to Professor Mehra, who is a great friend of my scientist sitting there in white dress, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad himself has been the Vice President of National Academy of Science. And after his joining Amity University 6 years ago, a great difference has been made in the life of Amity University, Haryana. Today, we stand much taller than one could imagine in terms of funded research and development. We have areas aligned to life sciences, cancer research, immunology, of course, infectious diseases, a whole lot of data science and health, and a whole lot of interface of life sciences with engineering and technology on one hand, and applied sciences on the other, and connecting, in fact, the info, nano, and bio. We have created, in fact, an ecosystem of research and development in our university. And we are also now moving seriously into the area of the new age pharmacy, where the natural drugs and natural formulations coming from herbal medicines and medicinal plants would pave the way for a happy and healthy tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so delighted to have Professor Mehra with us, and we look towards you, Professor Mehra, with great expectations for the people of this country, especially the message to the younger generation, how they can keep themselves happy and healthy during their stay at the university and beyond from here. If you do not learn the traits here, I can assure you, you will have no opportunity to train and tune your mind and your body for a happy and healthy life hereafter. And therefore, the best time of an individual is when he or she is at school or college, and that's where you can nurture habits which will become part and parcel of your great trait throughout your lifetime. I leave you with this thought, and I thought before I finish, let me play before you a 3-minute video of a great scientist of the world, Madame Curie.
In the ceremony, honored by the presence of Madame Curie,
message for you
to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the discovery of radium. Yes, she was famous now. This frail, stubborn, eager woman had carried on her great work for a quarter of a century.
Madame Curie.
Even now, after 25 years of intensive research, we feel there is a great deal still to be done. We have made many discoveries. Pierre Curie, the suggestions we have found in his notes and in thoughts he expressed to me, has helped to guide us to them. But no one of us can do much. Yet each of us perhaps can catch some gleam of knowledge, which, modest and insufficient of itself, may add to man's dream of truth. It is by these small candles in our darkness that we see before us, little by little, the dim outlines of that great plan which shapes the universe. And I am among those who think that for this reason, science has great beauty, and with its great spiritual strength, will in time cleanse this world of its evils, its ignorance, its poverty, diseases, wars, and heartaches. Look for the clear light of truth. Look for unknown, new roads. Even when man's sight is keener far than now, divine wonder will never fail him. Every age has its own dreams. Leave then the dreams of yesterday. You take the torch of knowledge and build the palace of the future.
You must have heard Madam Curie telling you very straightforward that each age had its own dream. You belong to the age of 21st century, which demands from you truthful and honest commitment to science. To discover what Madam Curie has said, spiritual strength of science. To use the word spiritual strength of science, not just the industrial or corporate strength of the science or military power of science that we are so well accustomed to. And it is this, she said, hold the promise for cleaning this world of ignorance, of poverty, of diseases, and even the wars and heartache of the kind which we have around. Choice is yours. You all have to rise to the dictate of 1930s, coming from one of the best scientists that the world has ever seen, Madam Curie, winner of 2 Nobel Prizes herself. I thought I must play this video right in the beginning to alert you that despite the wise counsel of Madam Curie in early 30s, we have not taken the words seriously of spiritual strength of science, which means the science is to be used for the cause of goodness and not for the cause of destruction and devastation, for which we rejoice so much. Ladies and gentlemen, with these words, I extend a very warm welcome to Professor Mehra and look towards him for his counsel and advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wise words.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjana. Thank you, Dr. Rajendra Prasad and Dr. Singh for giving us this honor to have Professor Mehra with us. Thank you.
So may I please read your profile before you start talking? Thank you, sir. Professor Narendra K. Mehra is the Honorary Emeritus Scientist of Indian Council of Medical Research, former Dean and National Chair of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, Vice President, International Affairs of the Indian National Science Academy, and is a key person for the Science-20 engagement group during the G20 presidency of India. He is an internationally acclaimed expert in the area of transplant immunology and clinical immunogenetics and is vastly experienced in policy, education, promotion, and strategic planning for science. He was the main resource for preparing the national guidelines for stem cell research and therapy and guidelines for umbilical cord blood banking. Professor Mehra has been the president of the Indian Immunology Society, counselor for the International Union of Immunological Societies, co-chair of the IUIS Gender Equality Committee, and founder secretary general for the Federation of Immunological Societies of Asia Oceania. Professor Mehra is a fellow of the Indian National Science Academy, National Academy of Sciences, National Academy of Medical Sciences, member honoris causa of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, and fellow of the World Academy of Sciences. He is also an honorary fellow of the Royal College of Physicians of UK. He has over 100 scientific awards and academic honors, including the coveted S.S. Bhatnagar Prize of the CSIR, Khwarizmi International Award from the Iranian Research Organization on Science and Technology, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Prize of ICMR for the Excellence in Medical Research, and Tata Innovation Fellowship of the DBT, Government of India. The French president conferred on him the Chevalier of the National Order of Merit. He also published over 480 research papers and regularly writes columns for the leading newspapers on COVID-19 and viral host immunity. May I kindly invite respected Professor Narinder K. Mehra to kindly give his address. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. At the outset, I want to thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sharma, Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor, Honorable Dean, faculty of the Amity University here, and I have very bright-looking students with lots of dreams in their mind. This is the second time that I've come here. What a beautiful auditorium you have. What beautiful facilities you have in this university. The kind of things that I didn't have during my student days, but I feel very glad that times have changed. So what I'm going to talk to you today is India's Science-20 thrust during G20 presidency. How many of you really know about the G20? Have you seen the boards around? Have you seen how many of you know about G20? No? Very few hands. So let's first talk about the G20. Of course, I spent all my life at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, joined as a student way back in July 1969, and I came from Amritsar, and there everybody used to call this AIIMS as the American hospital. And right on the first day of my entry into this institute, when I joined as a student, I saw 3 women, white women, walking around. 2 of them were European women and 1 was the American. I immediately called my dad and I said, yes, this is an American hospital, because there are so many white women going around over there. And I therefore then spent about 45 years, never knew that I could join as a student. Joining as a student over there itself was a big thing. And then doing all your courses, join as a faculty, going to become the dean. These were all dreams, the kind of dreams that you people have now. So let's talk about the India's Science-20 thrust during presidency of G20 of India. ये आगे नहीं जा रहा यार. Okay, this is G20. I'm sure you've heard about G7. The G7 are those 7 most advanced countries in the world. They're all members of the G20 as well. all of those 5 nations that constitute the Security Council of the UN are also members of the G20. The 5 countries that constitute BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are all members over here. So over the years, G20 has become a very strong international forum. These are the countries that are members of G20 in 19 countries, and 20th is the European Union. Now, the G20 summit is held every year annually on a rotational basis there. And this year, India is the chair. And this was established in 1999. In fact, as a response to financial crisis that happened in 1990s in Singapore. So therefore, in the initial years, it was only the finance ministers of these countries who used to meet. And then, of course, the whole objective was expanded. The primary objective now is to promote global economic growth, financial stability, of course, and international cooperation. It is the international cooperation that we're talking about. And if you look at the G20 work stream, there is a Sherpa track. I'm sure you have heard the word Sherpa, finance track, and engagement groups. There are about 10 engagement groups of G20. And these are the Business 20, Civil 20, Youth 20, Think 20, Women 20, and the Science 20. And the Science-20 engagement group is coordinated in India by the Indian National Science Academy, short form called as INSA, and I happen to be the Vice President, International Affairs, and therefore coordinating this whole activities of G20, of Science-20 in India. And we'll talk to you what kind of a theme, because each time a country becomes the president of G20, it is their responsibility to take up a theme, a particular theme of Science-20. And I've taken part in several Science-20 meetings in the past. And you can see that the Science-20, of course, started in 2017. As I said, that the G20 started in 99, Science-20 started in 2017 when Germany was the chair, and their theme was improving global health strategies and tools to combat communicable and non-communicable diseases. But of course, it changes. When Argentina was the chair, the theme was on food and nutrition security. Japan was the chair, and they were focused on marine biology, marine ecosystems there. And then came Saudi Arabia, and there were 4 sort of tracks over there. And in 2021, when COVID was on the peak, Italy was the chair. And of course, the main theme centered around the COVID-19 and how countries could actually collaborate with each other to make sure that the future pandemics can be taken care of. Indonesia was the chair last year, and their theme was recover together, recover stronger. And then came our turn. And we took over as the chair of G20 on December 1 last year. But right from the beginning of last year, in February, March itself of last year, we started to do debates and brainstorming sessions in the Indian National Science Academy on the kind of theme that we should have. And we'll talk about this theme, disruptive science for sustainable development. You are all very used to going to the YouTube and the all kinds of other social media there. I would like you to go back and read about the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we call SDGs. There's 16 of them. And therefore, we're talking about sustainable development. We're talking about how human life can be sustained longer, as actually Dr. Sharma said. But here we want to use disruptive science. And you would think that disruptive is a negative word. Of course, it's negative, but here in this context, we're talking about new science, novel ideas, not the mundane, the same kind of thing that we have been doing year after year. Disruptive science. Let's talk out of the box. And this has been our theme. Now, how many of you think the challenges that the humanity will face in the next half a century? I will not be there. Many of these guys may not be there. You guys will be there. And you need to know about the challenges that you're going to face in the next half a century. And these are some of them that we feel. You're going to have a big challenge in terms of clean energy. Water is going to be scarce. It is already there in certain cities around the world that the water is not available. Food and nutrition security is one. Poverty, science in conflict zones. What do you do where there is a conflict and there's a war? How can the science go on? Holistic health, and I will talk to you about that. In fact, major part of my talk is going to be on holistic health because I come from the health background. Education for all, population outgrowth, and the global data sharing. One of the big problems that we're going to face, the nations are going to face, how do they share data? The big data sharing. There are already a lot of debates going on from time to time. How do we manage big data and how we share the big data? Now, therefore, keeping all of this in background and India's vision to promote a dialogue in the G20 meetings is a universal one. We come from a country, we talk about Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And therefore, you've seen all over the G20, our theme is one earth, one family, one future. And it is this broad and all-encompassing guidance from the ancient Sanskrit text of Maha Upanishad that inspired the vision of Science-20. And the future of our civilization is dependent on its interaction with science and the disruptions that come with it. Now, all of this made us bring this particular theme, disruptive science for sustainable development for 2023. Under this, we now have three tracks. One track is totally devoted towards clean energy for a greener future. And here the focus is on hydrogen energy because, a lot of climate issues and all that. And you're going to hear about this even more. Those of you in the field of science, you're going to hear more about use of hydrogen energy in your day-to-day life in times to come. Energy from the ocean, energy from the sea, energy from the sun, and new generation energy storage tools that you will need. Universal holistic health, I will talk to you a bit more because that's going to be the major theme of my talk, where again, we have three subtracks, physical and physiological dimensions of health. When we talk of universal holistic health, the meaning of holistic health is you don't need to go to the hospital. How do we stop you from going to the hospital? How do you remain healthy that you don't need to go to the hospital? And the universal would mean the last man on the earth should have the ability to maintain holistic health. Mental health and well-being. This is going to be a big problem for us. And we are seeing the WHO data indicating, and in the younger and in the 21st century, the new youth, the mental health and well-being is becoming a big problem. And then we have the good old indigenous system of medicine there that can be used for health and well-being. And the third track in Science-20 that we have is even more important than the other two, connecting science to society and culture. This is what we're going to talk about with all the 20 nations when we meet next month in June in Bhopal. Because you saw that in COVID-19, everybody over there, everybody, even in the street, understood the meaning of science. I remember in 2020, I used to write a lot of columns for the Hindustan Times, and I used to go to talk to these people who build these buildings, the labor over there. कि भाई क्या करें? ये तो pandemic आ गया, कैसे जाएगा? And the common answer I used to get from them was, नहीं सब science ठीक करेगा. So then the people were now beginning to understand the role that science would have in your day-to-day life. So therefore, our theme is the third track is connecting science to society and culture, where role of science in communication and popularization, law and governance also, important role of science, heritage and technological development there. Now, let me now spend more time on holistic health. Applying science for promoting holistic health at the global level. I keep saying holistic health means keeping yourself healthy. You don't need to go to the hospital. The word holistic is derived from the word whole, which means complete. Holistic health is a wellness approach that considers all aspects of an individual, physical, mental, spiritual, that are interconnected and should be addressed together to achieve optimal health. And holistic or comprehensive health encompasses harmony. There needs to be harmony and a balance in all aspects of your life. health, physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual. These are 5 very important issues. It's important that none of these 5 get neglected. So therefore, the emphasis now and should be on holistic medicine, treating the root cause of an illness rather than just treating the symptoms. When you go to the hospital, you only talk about your symptoms. So the doctor will really, looking at your symptoms, we will treat you, we give you treatment. But the need is to go to the root cause. And there are 4 principles of holistic health: lifestyle, consciousness, your mind, and your body. Your health and well-being is largely in your own hands. You need to be healthy yourself. It's your issue. And maintain collaborative approach. Ladai nahi kariyega. Reduce stress and thus ailments. Stress is becoming a very important problem in life now. And if you have stress, then you're more liable to develop heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, and inflammation. Make health promoting lifestyle changes. Develop social networks. Keep interacting with them. Develop efficient and more effective coping strategies. Augment spirituality. Don't leave spirituality. The young group nowadays don't actually talk about the spirituality at all. Optimism, laughter, laugh a lot, right? Capacity and resilience. So these are 4 principles of holistic health. But when you want to maintain physical and physiological dimensions of health, it's important to work together to sustain life. And this includes organ function, hormone function, metabolism rate, immune system functioning. And you saw in COVID-19 that the only thing that could save you is your host immunity. You need to make sure that your host immunity is very strong. And they have to work in tandem, amongst other things. It encompasses all aspects related to an individual's body: diet, exercise, sleep patterns, stress levels, and other lifestyle factors. All of these and the physical activity. The problem that we face nowadays is our youth is not indulging in as much of physical activity as it is required of them, because it plays an important role in maintaining good overall health. It helps maintain muscle strength and flexibility. One of the diseases that we see is sarcopenia, where your muscle becomes weak, particularly muscles of the legs. You need to make sure that your leg muscles are very strong. Otherwise, you're going to develop sarcopenia. And this is going to be a lot of problem for you. All the problems of cardiovascular diseases and all. And the WHO says, on an average, everybody, particularly at my age, Dr. Sharma's age, my friend Dr. Rajendra Prasad's age, he must walk at least about 10,000 steps a day. Minimum 10,000 steps a day. Now, for you guys, of course, you walk or you jump around all the time. And that will reduce the risk for chronic diseases such as CVDs, diabetes, and stroke. And this requires what we call a universal holistic health policy. This is what we're going to talk about to our G20 countries, G20 friends, that there's a need at this point of time to develop a universal holistic health policy. Modern lifestyle and obesity, this is another problem. Obesity is becoming a big problem all over the world, more so at this point of time in the Western world, but it's coming up very fast in India as well. And that's because of the modern lifestyle, because most of your time, 22 hours a day, is going on the screen. You're all the time looking at the screen, whether it is your mobile phone screen or the big screen over there. There are lifestyle behaviors, such as unhealthy diet, ordering food from Zomato and Swiggy, sitting at home, looking at your mobile phone all the time, smoking, big issue. If any of you actually smoke, I would urge you to leave it immediately, because we know now strong data coming up in every lifestyle disease, smoking plays a very important role. Physical inactivity leading to chronic diseases, diabetes, and obesity there. Social isolation. You get so used to your screen that there's social isolation. And this occurs due to spending more time on social media platforms, your laptop, your computer, etc. And people become more prone to depression and increased stress level. Proposed processed food intake is becoming a sort of big issue. Again, you don't take those very simple dal roti type of a food, but go more for the processed food that increases the health risk. Over dependence on chemically processed foods that are high in sugar and they contain artificial ingredients, refined carbohydrates, trans fat, and fewer dietary fibers. Fewer dietary fibers is going to create problems for you. The next morning, you spend a lot of time in your toilet seat, but then you don't get relieved there. And the easy lifestyle. Everybody is wanting an easy lifestyle. Sitting on the chair, also like this. I see a few boys, sitting like this. You want to sit alert on your seat. This is easy lifestyle. Everybody wants easy lifestyle. Major cause of obesity and major cause of creating imbalance in calories consumed and calories intake. This is diet and disease, a very simple slide, but telling you the excess consumption of ultra processed foods, red and processed meat, salt, sugar, trans fat and fat, and saturated fats, and low consumption of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, fiber and fish is the cause for inflammation, atherosclerosis, thrombosis, and lowering immunity. And if your host immunity is low, you're more liable to develop non-communicable diseases, more liable to become obese, and infections there. And this is a very important paper which came up just last year. Holistic integration of omics tool for precision nutrition in health and disease. This is what we're going to hear more in the next few years. You can use the tools that we have in hand, genomics tools, the metagenomics, epigenomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and metabolomics, all of these have their own role. And this could give you a sort of picture about holistic health, interaction of your genes with your dietary and the nutritional factors. Incorporation of integrative omics would be useful not only for risk addiction and early diagnosis, but also for guiding tailored dietary treatments. You need to really take care of your diet. Diet is the most important part. The question is, you go and see IPL games until about 12 o'clock, one or the other, it was until 2 a.m. and keep eating those fatty diets and all. The limitations for these genomic tools is they're very expensive, they're very robust, and at the moment we don't have yet the high cost is very high, of course, and the high dimensional data analysis. But I'm sure it's going to change in the next few years here, and therefore genomics could actually also play a very important role, guide you what kind of food you should take. Human health is determined by our composite environment, and we call it as one health. You're linked with soil health, you're linked with plant health. In fact, when we were talking about the theme for our Science-20 for 2023, we were almost very near to sort of picking up One Health as our major theme. One Health is where human health is linked to the animal health and the plant health over there. Because the microbes are all over for you, and the nutrition plays a very important role, immunity plays a very important role, air quality and the water quality over there. And this is all component of what we call One Health. In fact, the other problem that we are facing these days is antimicrobial resistance. Everybody in the house is a doctor. You develop a little bit of cough and cold, you take antibiotics. And this is being given also to the little children, newborns, or even 1 year, 2-year-old child. You don't let this baby or the young little child develop its own host immunity. Every time he coughs, give him antibiotics. Everybody in the family is a doctor. Because these antibiotics are available off the desk, of the shelf in the chemist shop. It refers to microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites being able to resist the effects of antimicrobial drugs that were earlier effective in treating infection. And the issue of AMR become even so high that due to this, the treatment and management of even common infections like pneumonia has become challenging for us, because the drugs don't work. This must be curbed by preventing the misuse of antimicrobial drugs in both human and veterinary population. The problem is even more in the veterinary population. After the milk you're going to drink has to come from those. Knowledge of emerging drug resistance in any microbial species must be speedily communicated to the international scientific community. And already there are big talks going on to create an international group on AMR, prevent climate degradation through science-based approaches there. So national and global efforts are required to end this mobilization and of course sharing of resources there. Now, when I talk about antimicrobial resistance, you can see the human use, veterinary use is even more, both for the medicinal point of view, but also from the breeding point of view. You want to have a big cow, you want to have big sort of horse or the camel and all. And you can see the antibiotic overdose. In humans, it is about 30. Animals is even more. And then you have the problem of industrial effluents over there, all the pharmaceuticals that come about. This was a meeting that took place in March last year in Rome, very famously called as the quadripartite report, where the Food and Agriculture Commission, the UN, the WHO, and the World Organization on Animal Health, they all got together and talked about what is called One Health and what should be our joint plan of action. What should be joint plan of action from 2022 to 2026? Working together for the health of humans, animals, plants, and the environment. It's not just the human health alone. Your health is dependent on all of those things around you. So you need to have the report promotes the concept of One Health approach for the prevention of zoonotic spillover. And you have heard that the SARS-CoV-2 virus, of course, came from bats. That the question is, the bats survive with this virus, but the humans can't. And the bats undergo into some sort of a stress. And the stress over there will lead to the spillover of the virus from the bats. And it comes to the humans. Of course, there are all kinds of theories of how from the Wuhan, either from the lab leak or whatever. But the question is animals. Some of these viruses, many of these viruses can sustain very well in an animal, but not in human being. So we have to make sure that they remain in the animal and don't come over there. You need to increase our capacity for genomic surveillance and need to develop One Health framework to address issues related to our shared planet's sustainability. This particular quadripartite report talked about One Health, promoting a sustainable and healthy future through 4 C's. The 4 C's are collaboration, communication, coordination, capacity building. And they came up with this 6 One Health joint plan of action tracks. Very important action tracks. And I would like to read these. Action track number 1, enhancing One Health capacities to strengthen health systems. Number 2, reducing the risks from the emerging and re-emerging zoonotic epidemics and pandemics. Everybody talks to us. This pandemic came in 2019. What is the chance? And when could the next one come? Of course, this one came after a century. Who knows? The next one could come in 10 years' time because of our changing lifestyle. Action track 3, controlling and eliminating zoonotic, neglected, tropical and waterborne diseases. Action track 4, strengthening the assessment, management, and communication of food safety risks. And action track 5, curbing the silent pandemic of AMR. I already talked to you about AMR. This is a silent pandemic that is going on. And it is silent, it might explode one day. Then no drug will work. Action track 6, integration of environment into One Health. And action track 7, these are, of course, the 6 tracks that they had talked about. So the question is animal, human, environmental health are all interconnected and must be addressed together if we were to achieve universal holistic health. And the other problem of rising threat of what we call diet related NCDs, non-communicable disease. And non-communicable diseases are cardiovascular diseases, cancer, chronic respiratory disease, diabetes, and others. They're really growing. In my time, when I was doing science in AIMS in the 70s and 80s, we were only talking about infectious diseases. And as we enter the 21st century, our focus changed to now lifestyle diseases. These are all your lifestyle diseases. And the factors include unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, tobacco use, consumption of alcohol, too much of alcohol, even at a young age, 18, 20 years actually drinking. Ek aad pe lo, theek hai bhai, but no, you really don't stop at all. Prevention and control require healthy lifestyle. And according to WHO, a healthy lifestyle requires you to do regular physical activities. I said 10,000 steps a day minimum, avoid smoking, limited alcohol consumption, have healthy diet in order to prevent overweight and obesity. These habits will lead to better physical health and foster mental well-being. Another problem that we're going to face very soon, mental health. Role of traditional diets versus modern diets have to be weighed. And then the use of artificial intelligence. I'm sure all of you in this hall know about the artificial intelligence, the impact of artificial intelligence in healthcare from disease diagnosis to drug development is a subject of great interest. And I'm sure this is going to be employed even more in times to come. Using AI tools, capacity for data integration, application of complexity, science, and deep learning must be enhanced across the globe to better identify physiological pathways, pathological properties, and the causal connection. What we're going to talk about to our friends from the G20 is there's a need to develop a G20 exhortation for AI for holistic human health. Hopefully, you're going to hear more in the next few years about AI use on holistic health and how AI may transform health sector. All of you know, I'm sure you can go to the YouTube and look into the uses of artificial intelligence that impact the healthcare space. This came up in Times of India just 1 week ago, highlighting the use of AI in health sector, interpretation of images like X-ray, the CT scan, the MRIs, some things that the doctors can even miss. The AI tool, we will not detect pre-cancer, possible prediction of outcome from the disease symptoms. A drug that might work on me may not work on you. Detect life-threatening conditions there. Another issue, health in climate emergency. You've seen that the climate is changing. Even you people with your short life that you have had so far on this earth know that there is a changing trend in the climate. Climate sensitive diseases are going to be talked about even more. And we have already started to talk about climate sensitive diseases. And there was an initiative taken by the Inter-Academy Partnership looking into climate changes. Climate change threatens people's health dramatically, and billions are at risk. And who are at risk? Effect will be most on those in the low socioeconomic conditions and the marginalized groups, influenced by factors like the health status, social and economical factors over there. Again, what are the next steps? How do we stop this? What do we do? The climate, of course, there are a lot of people talking about the climate issue, the COP26 and other meetings taking place. But we need to perhaps build a regional network of climate and health collaborators, identify local and regional climate-sensitive infectious disease risks. Some diseases will only come in a particular month, actually, develop innovative solutions, develop engagement activities, and expand our communication and engagement with government and the NGOs. These are the issues that we will have to really look into from time to time. So there's urgent need for climate protection energy transition, and pandemic preparedness. I was taking part in the G7 group in late March, and even there, the focus was on the climate change. In the healthcare sector, scientists demand increased global pandemic preparedness through not only the vaccines, but we need to develop new antiviral drugs, establish international coordination body with clinical studies done from time to time, and the implementation of One Health approach, which considers the health of humans, animals, and the plants, and the wider environment are closely related. These were the recommendations submitted by the German Academy to the G7 group, and this is kind of things that we talk about. Now, in the last part of my talk, I thought everybody wants to know a little bit about cancer. Look at many roads lead to cancer. Cancer can develop in many ways. Look at that, not a molecule either in the nucleus of the cell that could actually go haywire and can lead to the development of cancer. And we need an integrative approach to understand tumor growth and therapy. Stress can impact on the immune system. Stress can also impact on the endocrine system and the gut-brain axis. There is a gut and the brain axis over there, leading to abnormal growth of gut flora in your gut. This will impact on immunity. This will impact on the hormones that you have. So the mind-body medicine would actually impact your stress and depression and go on to sort of make sure that you develop cancer. So the factors that promote cancer are stress. Number one is stress. Poor nutrition, lack of physical activity, poor sleep. A lot of our young friends don't sleep that well. Need to have about 8 hours of good sleep. Vitamin D deficiency there. And we need to develop evidence-based complementary medicine approaches, use of supplements, herbal medicine, yoga, meditation for stress reduction there. And the last, today's India 2023, the focus is on science and robust innovation. In 2023, and you have read in the newspapers, India has, or going to become very soon, the most populous country in the world, beating even China. It's among, of course, the first top 5 economic powers in the world and plays a crucial role in addressing and solving global challenges. Everybody is looking towards India now. With a total investment of 14 billion euros per annum in research and development, still very small. We need to really increase it by 10 times even more. India has developed a robust innovation system, but still growing. India is, for example, the 10th largest contribution of publications in Nature. All that is good. But year 2023 is a landmark year for science during the G20 presidency of India to explore new joint endeavors in R&D as a boost for the startup ecosystem. Startup ecosystem is very important. We had only 100 startups in 2015. The other day, the Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kant were talking about. Today, we have 99,000 startups. And this is growing very rapidly. Maybe by next year, the numbers will cross about 2 lakhs. And India has identified entrepreneurship and startup as one of the core topics through a new engagement group. We have a new engagement group called the Startup 20 as well. This is an example of innovations in startups. I've just given you 4 or 5 companies over here. And we did an analysis last year about 75 impactful startups. 1/4 of them were in the health and the medical device, but almost every system, waste management, energy, agriculture, and everywhere, you have the startups. And this is all very, very good, but it has to grow even more. Because when you compare yourself to China, when you compare yourself with the European countries, even a small country like Holland, your number of startups are still very few. This is one company for cell and gene therapy. This is the other field that you're going to hear more, gene therapy, or what we call gene editing. And I'm supporting one startup because I met this bunch of 2 or 3 very energetic young boys. One girl also in that. And they wanted to start this startup company targeting cure for cancer. And this company will be the most advanced cell and gene therapy. I said, I will give my name to you only if you promise that you will have an allogenic cell and gene therapy, which will be most advanced, scalable, and low cost. After all, it will be used in India and maybe some of the other low cost countries over there. Our vision is be a pioneer in innovative allogenic cell therapy R&D unit in India with clear focus and world-class quality system. This is because I was approached by a company in the US. They said, we have created a number of CAR T cells and CAR NK cells for immunotherapy. We want to do these trials in India, and we want your help. So you cannot try them in India. This is not our rule. Our government of India rules, the CDSCO rules are a drug, whichever is developed any part of the world, you must try first in your own country, and then you try in India. And then we thought, why not we create our own? We will create our own. The problem statement for cancer is, at the moment, no cure for cancer. If somebody in the family develops cancer, person is going to die in a matter of 6 months to 5 years, or maybe sometimes a little more because of the drugs and all that. The options for us in the hospital are a hormone therapy, radiation therapy, surgery, chemotherapy, sometimes bone marrow transplantation. But you need to do immunotherapy. Future focus, cancer cure by 2030. This is our slogan. Cancer cure by 2030 through cell and gene therapy. And focus area, that's the focus area of this company called East Ocean Bio. I never thought when I came out of AIMS that I would actually start a company, but now the company is going to grow. Allogenic CAR NK cells. NK is also my name, Narinder Kumar. And these NK cells are natural killer cells. I'm not a natural killer though, but we need to create these cells. The natural killer cells, which will be infused into the individual, and they would kill the cancer cells. That's the goal. And these NK cells would have lesser side effects and better scalability. Our goal is that the cancer must become like TB, leprosy, measles, chickenpox in the next 1 to 2 decades over there. Cancer is just a beginning with cell and gene therapy. We can target through this technology once it develops other incurable diseases as well, several of them over there. Because the allogenic cells are superior to immunotherapy. They're superior also to what we call CAR T cells. CAR T cells is something that one of the scientists developed, and he got the Nobel Prize. The field is changing now from CAR to NK. This is a very beautiful slide. I used to be a part of a very robust young students from Southern Europe and Eastern Europe. I used to go every year to be a part of the international faculty to teach immunology to them. And in one of the groups, I don't remember which country, I think it was Armenia, probably, Yerevan. And we said, what are the areas that you would like to work on? This is the kind of board that came up. Research field for tomorrow's medicine over there. Really remarkable. And I think we really thanked all those young minds that they picked up everything. I can't even read from here. My number has increased. But this, actually, when you read this, you really feel that, and you could all do this one day. The science students get together, do a brainstorming session, and come up with ideas, and tell your vice chancellor, these are the studies that we need to do. Tell your dean here, the dean is the one who's bringing in a lot of money. These are the areas that you think are going to be important, you think are going to be of relevance in the next half a decade or so, and therefore we need to work on. I really feel very proud to show this slide, although I was told, please do not share this slide. So I'm not going to share this slide with you, but I would urge you to do a similar exercise yourself and come up with some ideas over there. So with this, friends, I want to just show you my last slide. And that tells you to always try novel approaches. You should have conviction in your mind. Conviction is the most important thing in the young mind. If you do not have that, then you cannot try novel approaches. Don't be scared of failures. We're generally very scared of the failures over there. Have self-belief and think big. This was the theme of your National Science Day this year. National Science Day of 2023, and I was invited by 2 or 3 institutions on the National Science Day as the chief guest to sort of talk about the thing. But the think big approach was their main theme of the National Science Day of this year. And look at this quote from Albert Einstein. All of you know Albert Einstein. And this is to talk about your failures. If someone feels that they had never made a mistake in their life, then it means they had never tried new thing in their life. So never be scared of failures. Thank you very much. And thank you from the G20 S20.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful lecture. We would welcome questions from the participants. You can raise your hands. Whoever has question, please raise your hand.
Questions from those who believe in easy lifestyle? How many of you believe in easy lifestyle? एक तो है, क्यों भाई? जरा हमें भी बताइए। इनको जरा माइक दीजिए, ये at least one person is brave enough to tell, I believe in easy lifestyle. And first of all, define for me what is easy lifestyle. नहीं वो सरदार साहब पीछे define for us, what do you understand by the word easy lifestyle? Smart work over hard work. Yes, of course. But hard work is also smart work. No? Not necessarily. Yes, please.
Press the button. Orange button. Orange button, yes.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. So as you were talking about holistic human health approaches, you mentioned genomics, and the government of India has also announced Genome India project, which aims on profiling all the genetic variations in South Asia. So my question was that while this initiative brings a lot of promise as to account for all the genetic changes, it also poses a lot of questions regarding the ethical and privacy related concerns of people, especially when we talk about racism or stereotypes which are enforced through racism. So how do you think we can tackle this?
Very good. This question came up during our COVID-19. We wanted to know, infection is growing everywhere. Is there a possibility of a new variant coming in? And therefore, INSA-COG was made, International Science, sort of, the whole COG for doing this surveillance, doing the sequencing of the emerging strains, and want to see whether there's a new variant. Of course, as you know, that the new variant Delta came up from India in February of 2021. And that was the most deadly one, because at that time, the number of people who were vaccinated in India were very few. And there were a lot of immunosuppressed people, people with diabetes, people with cancer, people who undergo organ transplantation and all, and aged people, more than 60 years of age, or now we say 70 years of age. We have increased it by 10 more years, because there's what is called immunosenescence. The senescence of the immune system goes down. And in these people, if it grows, so we wanted to do that. So therefore, for the first time, we created in India 5 or 6 sort of labs, so very effective labs who could do the screening and the and also the sequencing. But what I was talking to you here was, you could use the tools of genomics, metagenomics, all kinds of transcriptomics and things of that sort. And they could give you a picture then. I'm sure the time will come very soon when you could carry on your mobile phone your own genetic structure through all these tools, that you are susceptible to these. I started my scientific career in 1970s, for example. We developed a gene called HLA-B27. And this was a doctor in UK, Bruton was his name, in 1973. He was looking at patients who developed joint pains. You've seen some people walking around with a very typical gait. They walk like they cannot bend. And they have what is called the ankylosing spondylitis. And each of that individual has this gene, becomes a very strong genetic marker, a biomarker. And we were doing the similar study at the time, maybe about a few years after that, in about 1975, 76. And we saw, yes, this gene is very particularly for young boys, young children coming from play, coming to their mom and say that I develop heel pain, or I develop pain in the knee. Now, heel pain became a very cardinal sign for us, because when we tested them for this particular gene, many of the children had the HLA-B27 gene. And this, if not treated early, could grow onto ankylosing spondylitis. Ankylosing spondylitis is at one end of the spectrum where the bamboo spine, all joints of the body become fixed. You can't bend, you can't this, and you need to have a hip replacement done, maybe knee replacement done, all of those things and all. So similarly, now your tools have increased. In the 90s, you had this, the big science, particularly the genomics, and you entered the 21st century with the structural genomics in your hand. Now you need to do the what we call functional genomics over there, understand the role of each of those genes. And this has opened up new avenues. What we are saying is in the 21st century, the kind of science that you would do, it was not in our dreams. You will do what we call big science, looking into all this. And that is what is giving you the hope for gene editing. For diseases like, I don't know how many of you know a disease called thalassemia. Is there anybody in the hall who has a brother or a sister or somebody with a thalassemia major? And these kind of children need blood transfusion every 2 weeks. They can't make their own. Here, it's a single gene. It's a single gene defective, and we know the gene now. So either we can institute another new gene insertion, but there we need a virus then, a lentivirus to put that gene. And that's not very, very safe. The other is you can edit the gene. So gene editing, again, those kind of tools will be very helpful to you. But the slide that I was showing you was, you have now whole area of genomics. Each of those have a function, as available on my slide. And then you can have a collective sort of information of the kind of genetic structure that you have. This will vary from one individual to the other. And that is what explains, if I fall sick, I might need a Dolo tablet for 1 day, you might need it for 4 days. Each individual is different. So in medicine now, one shoe size fits all is not the theory. You need to go to the genomics understanding, and each person, what we call now, personalized medicine actually.
Holistic health, diet and diseases, so I talked about. So I talked about antimicrobial medicinal sciences, so that the viruses will come and the medicine will become perhaps helpless. So I also talked about taking care of your body, of your mind, also take the defense into your.
मैं इधर बैठ ही जाता हूँ. Yeah. Go ahead.
First big one here.
Sir, so my question is based on the holistic lifestyle. Today's lifestyle seems really unidealistic for a collective healthy lifestyle. So like many of us just got to know that even stress leads to cancer. And looking at places like universities, schools, where stress is almost everywhere, in every single student, in every teacher, in every staff. So what is the approach that we as a nation should be taking for a holistic society?
No, I think this is a very important question. The other day, this our good friend Kapil Dev. Kapil Dev was talking that he went to a school. He was talking about the stress, common stress in everyday's life. And you all of you have stress. I'm also stressed. I'm talking to you, I'm stressed. But he said, I went to a school, private school, beautiful classrooms, auditoriums and all that. And the children were saying, we are under stress. वो कहता मैंने उनको बोला भाई तुम कैसे स्ट्रेस में हो पैसे तो आपके माँ बाप दे रहे हैं आपकी फीस के अच्छी आपको जगह दे दी पढ़ने के लिए और सब कुछ प्लेग्राउंड भी है सब कुछ तो आपको कौन सी स्ट्रेस है लेकिन उनको भी स्ट्रेस है तो you're very right how do we beat this stress that's the issue that we are talking about today the WHO data indicates that from 2000 to 2020 there is a 16% rise in people with mental morbidity. Mental morbidity. You may be physically fit and nice. Mental is the most important issue. You should be mentally strong. You see all these players you see in the IPL games. It's a mental game now. Somebody who can handle the stress over the very well on that day can actually do well. So again, I had in a slide shown to you, हंसा करो यार थोड़ा सा, social networking बनाइए, drinking कम करिए, smoking नहीं करना, happy रहना थोड़ा सा. Not that individual A has got so and so thing, मेरा क्या होगा? There are many more streams that you can go to. You see, during our times, when I left the school, wanted to take up science, there were only two streams. Either you become engineer or you become doctor. And that's all. और तो कोई था ही नहीं हमारे लिए. हमें मालूम भी नहीं था और कुछ होता. Today you have hundreds of streams. It's not possible that everybody will do well in the same field. You got to understand yourself. So one of the statements that I had, health is in your own hands. You need to look into yourself. So I think spiritualism is again a very important part of life and develop that as a part of your life, yoga and spiritualism. Think into yourself and see what makes you good. What makes you individual A? What makes this person an individual B? I will be definitely different from the other. There will be some qualities in there's nothing like a good student and a bad. Every student is good, I can tell you that. In my own experience of 45 years in AIMS, I used to get what others used to say, the bad student. I said, I will train him. It's not a big joke that you train a good student and say, oh, I've done very well. The best is to train a bad student. But what you call a bad student, in my life, in my understanding, nobody is bad. You need to find and detect in that individual the good qualities that that individual can have.
Take this seriously. Stresses are not going to go away. You have to learn how to manage it. One side of it is very well. You now allow to understand it. I would like to talk about science and questions and going to the right limits. All around you say, because we will carry a subsidy of right now बंद करो दूसरे से बात पांच लोग उसके बाद एड्रेस some exercise you have to learn how to manage it especially rather than allowing them to pick up and go easily high when you start dancing right to left hand you look crossing compared some of you must stay out of the canvas and try to be out to express by driving severely that's not the way. Learn how to manage your expression by displaying a little of time and also. Therapies are not very complex, they are very simple. And you have to demonstrate something to understand how you can manage this. If you don't, you will run around like crazy and will create tremendous amount of mental process. One problem that all the expressions of the university are ultimately follow the head of the microphone. That's why I am born so very much every day. So I have to learn how to manage the stress. Like while you when I go in the evening, I go smiling, I go cheerful. I want you to do that. When you go home, you cheerful and smiling, saying that no pressures, all the pressures have disappeared in the family. This is what I said to your child. Anyway, you got that. Let's see some more learning to take from the idea of the good.
I want to have gender equality. 2 questions came from men. How about the young women? Any question?
Yes. He wanted to, wants to ask. I'm talking for you. Yes, yes, stand up.
Was it somebody, some hand I saw at the back? I thought he was going to ask me, but he's asking you. Oh,
Yes, yes. Yes.
yes. Please. Ye लीजिए.
Sir, you just made a mention regarding gene editing. Now, this is a common problem, pain in the heels, and then, of course, leading into further complications. Similar thing has been seen in case of rheumatoid arthritis also, all the joints of the body. And that also, the other day when we were talking to some rheumatologist, said that, and actually it happens like that, that in some cases, it remains, the pain remains. And in some cases, after some time, say after 4 or 5 months, you become normal. Or it may come up again, may not come up again. So is there some kind of, other than food supplements or other things that you try out, is there some good solution for this, sir?
Well, number one, food and nutrition plays a very important role in your day-to-day life. As I said, that your food should have fiber, you should eat plenty of fruits and vegetables and all. That plays a very important role. Now, your question about joint pains. I gave the example of ankylosing spondylitis, but what we call it as is seronegative spondyloarthropathies. This is a spectrum of diseases in which one of the spectrum is this. And then as I gave the example of these young children, and we described this phenomenon in 83, 84, and we call it as a unclassifiable arthritis. हमने कहा हमें भी समझ नहीं आती क्या है, बच्चे आते हैं, हम नी पेन है और हील पेन है, हमने HLA-B27 किया बड़ा हाई है. अब वो over the years that unclassifiable, and our paper is being quoted by them all these years, they now named it as undifferentiated arthritis. ये अभी शुरुआत थी, and many of these children would go on to develop maybe ankylosing spondylitis, maybe writer's disease, psoriatic arthritis, reactive arthritis. Some of these children we saw in certain months of the year when the rainy season comes, Shigella, Salmonella, Klebsiella infections are very high. And in response to that, they develop that. By the way, you've seen many people, they have joint pains, but they also have the problem of the gut, diarrhea, constipation and all. Or in the eye. This is all interlinked, and we probably feel that there's a very important role of this gene. But diagnosis is the most important part. We didn't have in this country specialists called rheumatologists at that time. Now we have a lot, still very few in a big country like this, India. So people used to go to the Neem Hakim and कोई तेल मालिश कर देता है, कोई कुछ कर देता है, or orthopedic surgeons with the joint pains, orthopedic surgeon. This is not the orthopedic surgeon's job. It's the job of the rheumatologist, and they must, this is a medicinal problem rather than a surgical issue. Surgical issue comes later on. So after diagnosis, but you said that some people, after some time, they felt relief. Yes, some people do actually do relief. So I said it's not a one shoe size fits all. Somebody can get cured. Diet plays a very important role. Your own strong will inside. You keep yourself healthy. Walk around. I've known a patient, a doctor, one of the top rheumatologists of the world in the US. He is Jalandhar born, and now he's settled over there. and very well. All his own joints are fixed. And he has got he has a hip replacement done, knee replacement done, shoulder replacement, it goes on. He goes on even now everywhere. He says, I forget about it, that I have this. I want to lead a normal life. So self-belief, food, diet, nutrition. You go to Baba Ramdev, he will tell you, I also have treatment for you. ये मेरा चूरन खाइए, ये मेरा एलोवेरा खाइए, आप ठीक हो जाएंगे. But lot of people try and then they again come back to the doctor. I do remember a girl in 85, 84 in Ames, and she was in Doordarshan. I still remember her name, Najish Hosseini. Very beautiful girl. And she developed this, what we call rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is not pain in the spine, but pain in your joints of the hands. The lady in the and this is more common, 4 to 5 times more common in women than in men. The women are unable to atta ko gun nahi pati hain. Now, for her, we tried all kinds of drugs, imported drugs for her and all. And she was such a nice girl, but we couldn't stop. The disease continued to grow until a time came that her hands really got fixed. So it all depends from one individual to the other.
Hello, sir.
Yes. यहाँ आइए, सभी लोग आपको देखेंगे भी. मौसम अच्छा, आपने जैकेट भी पहनी हुई. बोलिए.
Hello, sir. मेरा question था, in India, like currently the S20 goal, there was a goal of bringing science in culture. So, but when we talk about India in culture, we have various cultural beliefs. And when we talk about science, there is medicine as well. So personally, I have heard many cases where suppose in many cultures, they don't allow trimming their hairs. But during medical surgery, we need to trim the hair. So they don't allow. So it just creates an hindrance. So how do you propose to bring culture and science together?
How do you propose to
bring culture and science together with all
bring
these
culture
cultural
and
beliefs
science
in India?
together? Yes, yes. ये मेरे लिए भी नई चीज थी. When we were making our tracks for the Science-20, as I said, our main theme was disruptive science for sustainable development, because it makes sense to everybody that our first goal would be energy, new energy sort of areas. Holistic health also were very, very important. But somebody said, why don't we talk about science for heritage and culture? And when I talked to my friends in the British embassy, the friends in the science counselor there, she said, yes, we're all the time talking about citizen science, use of science in maintenance of museums and culture, your all those statues and all that. How do we use the science and all? And this is again something new for me. And I said, wow, this is really good. So we made again 3 tracks in that. Impact of science in law and governance everywhere. Now your mobile phone is your everything, and that's also due to science. That you can operate your bank account, you can operate anything from your mobile phone. And if your mobile phone is not available with you for about an hour, you feel like a fish out of water actually. And again, next month, 16, 17 June, we're going to meet in Bhopal. All the 20 countries will come around and we'll talk about it. We'll create a document on impact of science in culture and heritage.
We have more or less come to the end of today's very interesting and inspiring lecture.
Thank you so much for answering our questions, sir.
Your basics, you need to find time for yourself. You have to connect yourself to yourself. Connect yourself to your friends. If you get your lifestyle, see what changes you would require to make for yourself. And I was like you. I used to go to bed early and wake up early. I see my boys and girls go to bed maybe after midnight. And one knowing how many of them are getting happy. Then we do the campus here, maybe we are around, look at the birds in the morning, they get up early and sing. Beat them out. this bliss of nature, connect to the nature, and extend the meaning and purpose of holistic health from the point of view of keeping away as far as possible from medicines and keeping all our ailments in distributed by your own control of self-regulation, regulating our own body. Maybe the two thoughts and very
May I now invite Dr. Sanjana Vij, Program Director, Academic Staff College, Head Center of Excellence Innovation in Education, Deputy Dean Students Welfare, and also the Nodal Officer of G20 at Amity University, Haryana, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Parijat. Good afternoon to everyone. I, on behalf of Amity University, Haryana, Gurugram, Center of Excellence for Innovation in Education, would like to express our deepest gratitude to Professor Mehra for delivering an enlightening lecture on India's Science-20 thrust during G20 presidency and sharing the expertise, wisdoms, and inspiring vision with us today. Professor Mehra, sir, your lecture has ignited a spark within us, reaffirming our commitment to health, scientific research, innovations, and collaborations, especially with our students who aspire to become a scientific leader of tomorrow. The emphasis given on clean water, energy, and environment, and One Health, holistic health, education for all have opened our minds to the multitude of opportunities available for young scientists, researchers, and innovators to thrive and make a positive impact on society. We are inspired by your vision of creating a conducive environment that encourages scientific research, robust innovation, and robust innovations related to holistic health, health for all, One Health, and artificial intelligence for holistic human health. Our sincere thanks and deep gratitude to Honorable Founder President Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan and Honorable Chancellor Dr. Asim K. Chauhan for always encouraging us with innovative ideas and focusing on development of students, community, and faculty members with the right kind of knowledge, skills, talent, and fast-changing developments in the field of scientific research and innovations. We are grateful to Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor P.B. Sharma, sir, Amity University, Haryana, for always supporting and creating a scientific ecosystem at Amity University for fostering quality research and innovations. Professor Sharma, sir's passion and enthusiasm for development of science, sustainability, health and well-being, science for all is always evident through his energy and his captivating words. His emphasis on nurturing young minds, fostering curiosity, and promoting interdisciplinary scientific research and collaborations has resonated deeply with all of us, especially with the students present here. A big thank you to respected Dr. Rajendra Prasad, as we recognize the importance of your contribution in connecting with us with an esteemed expert who has undoubtedly broadened our understanding and inspire us to pursue excellence in the field of science and technology. Thank you to Ms. Shivangi Gupta and Fahimda Khan from INSA, who has given their continuous support in conducting of this program. Thank you to Professor UN Singh, Dr. Shalini Bajaj, Dr. Sardana, Dr. Atul Thakur, Dr. Seema Pathak, Dr. Ambika Devi, Dr. Lakshita, Dr. Sangeeta Kumari for their kind support in the successful of this program. Thank you once again, Professor Mehra, for your valuable contribution and wishing you continued success in this scientific endeavors. Thank you to all dear students for making this event a successful event, and thank you for your engagement in today's program. Thank you so much.